Welcome back, my fellow Aeternians. As always, it is me, Emperor AP, and today I wanted to cover an email that was sent to us by the nation of Bessonia. Their leader emailed us and asked us about how one can avoid the difficult parts of our community, how one can avoid drama and strife and starting off on the wrong foot in their adventures in diplomacy. Now, that's something that can be very, very difficult. It's a topic that not only covers external diplomacy, dealing with other nations, trying to deal with cultural differences, ideological differences, trying to deal with the complexities of, trade negotiations or of just coming to an understanding of the other nation, and this internal conflict that I want to discuss as well, which causes a lot of nations to have difficulty growing and adapting as well. And that's kind of an internal one, dealing with citizenry, dealing with, general leadership. So all of this kind of ties into the theme of leadership, and I want to talk about that a bit today in the hopes that we can provide Bessonia with some advice. Again, thank you so much for emailing us, Bessonia. If anybody ever does have questions like that and wants to have a video done on them, please reach out to me and let me know, because I would love to cover the topics that you guys want to hear about. The thing that is so difficult about this topic is that there isn't one perfect answer, in the sense that you're not going to completely avoid this community. You're not going to, unless you do just shut out all communications. You're not going to be able to avoid people that have weird or potentially even harmful ideologies, people who are going to be trolls and be harassing you and causing problems, and people who you just, for ideological, for even method, even through methodology, you will have permanent disagreements with. You may both have this idea of a grand future where people are free and independent, and the earth is run with renewable energy, and even down to niche subjects. And yet your methodology for going about that could be completely different, such that it's very difficult for you to work together and to build relations. So I want to discuss that from the perspective of people just working to be able to find those common grounds and find those agreements, and as well for the concept of trying to understand your position really well. I've talked about this a little bit when we discussed diplomacy previously. We've done other live streams on it if you want to check that out. And we also have a kind of guide to diplomacy. One of the things that is really, really important when thinking about diplomacy is planning for yourself. First off, let me just go ahead and say hi to everybody who's here. Hello, Whitewind. Hello, Train Empire. And hello, Kritaria. Thank you all for being here. And if you could please give the video a like so that it helps to show up in more people's feed. We got 3 viewers right now, 0 likes. Thank you guys. Hello, Francisco. Good to see you. The idea that we're talking about is trying to answer this person's email, trying to figure out what the best way to explain to them that you have to come up with your own process of developing the relations that you're going to build. It's good to see you. Thanks, Kataria. Thanks, Whitewind. The difficulty with this topic is that it's not going to be easy to avoid those things. The benefit now of that topic is that you have the ability to craft it yourself. No approach is going to be perfect. You're always going to run into people that you don't like. You're always going to run into people who are going out of their way to cause problems for you and to make life difficult for you and your people. However, you get to determine how you deal with that. You have to take the shot either way. You have to pay the price of going out there and trying to promote your idea of what the world should be like and how you can make a difference for your people. And you have to contest that with everybody else who's doing something. Some people are going to be excited about what you're doing and want to work with you. Some people are going to be doing everything they possibly can to tear you down. And so that being the case, what you have to be able to do is to go from this perspective of everybody's The community is such a scary place. This situation in general is opening up your idea to the wide world is so unknown and so scary that you don't really want to make a move. You want to find a way to say, okay, I'm gonna, deal with these individual groups as they come and just hope that everything's okay. However, a lot of the time that can be where people get so shell shocked by the community, so concerned with what they're seeing, is because they may not necessarily project the right image of themselves. And so if you are getting really um, frequently contacted by people that are unsavory to you, if you're getting contacted by neo-Nazi type groups, if you're getting contacted by groups that are, sexist or politically extreme, or I say politically extreme, religious extremists, things like that. If you're getting targeted by people that you really aren't interested in working with for moral reasons, I would say look at how you're projecting the view of your nation. That can be a tough one because uh, when you are developing, you want to come with this idea to attract citizens. And you say, I am happy to share all of the ideological creativity, all of the building, the world building, the design of this nation and its ideas to you all. We're going to be the nation that does what you want. Uh, Come one, come all, share your ideas, let your voice be heard. And that's fantastic for when you're dealing with uh, just starting out and trying to grow, because will get the problem that you run into very quickly is you said anyone. So people who have more fringe ideas, people who are potentially trying to be mischievous or can't get their ideas through in other places that have more defined structure and ideological premise, they'll show up in your place and they'll start talking about that. So that's potentially concerning if you're getting reached out by people that you don't like or that you wouldn't be interested in working with. If you can start to take your own ideas about what you don't like, what you do like, and start to write those down, start to learn from those lessons of meeting those people that you aren't interested in and go, ooh, I see how they structured their thing. I'm not really interested in that. I feel like these are the problems that I have with them. I feel like this is where I disagree with their ideology. And you write all those things down. And then that starts giving you an idea of, okay, well, if that's what I don't want, what do I want? What's my method for going about developing this nation? What's our government like? What's our people going to be like? Who do we want to become citizens here? That sort of thing. If you can get better and better at making a description of and alarming out to people, broadcasting to others what those ideas are, you're going to pretty naturally find people who reach out to you are going to be interested in similar things, because the people who don't like you aren't going to want to reach out to you. They may criticize you, they may cause problems for you, but that's something that's going to be inevitable. That's going to be a part of the community that you can't necessarily avoid, but more than likely 99% of people who don't like what you're doing will simply ignore you. There's not enough time in the day to go around and mess with everybody that you don't like. There's not enough resources, that they can spend to continuously bother you if you don't deal with those people and if you don't develop it. If you instead work your efforts to the things that you are trying to move toward, you can easily bring yourself toward people who are more interested in your ideology and your methods, and you can find that niche, that section of the community that's so appealing to you. I think that's kind of the root of his question. Excuse me, their question. I don't know the gender of the person, but their question is interesting because they're asking essentially, how do I find my space in the community? And I ultimately think that comes as a concept with leadership. How do you position yourself in a group of people? How are you going to get people, in this massive community? If you imagined it as a big party, right? And you're going into this party and you're talking to individuals. You're going up to, say, a microphone sometimes when you post a tweet or a YouTube video or something like that, and you're announcing things. What are you saying? What are people reaching out to you about? When you step down from the mic, when you go do this or that and mix and mingle with these different groups, like in, Discord channels, servers, in, wherever you're going, wherever you're talking to people, email, whatever. It's like having conversations with these people in this party. And so if you can come to understand the concept of uh, really refining your presentation, your pitch to people, and your introduction effectively, you can get really good at quickly selecting out who's interested in you, and those people will naturally gravitate towards your section, and you'll start to naturally gravitate toward theirs because they'll start to introduce you to people as well. They'll say, "Oh, hey, I'm so glad to meet you. I'm so glad we, made this cool friendship and this connection. Hey, I actually have some buddies over in this group that I'd love for you to join. Can you join my Discord channel? Come check out this thing." And some of those people you may get in there and you may not like it. Sometimes you'll find a whole bunch of new friends, and so that's how you start to build that relationship, and that's how you start to develop yourself as a leader as well. Because with that external concept, with the concept of trying to express yourself to others and pitch your nation to others, you have a big dilemma with with how it is people interpret that. And so if you can get that down well and you can do that well, then you're able to start doing that internally as well. And that can help with a lot of political instability. A lot of micronations, especially those that choose more and more democratic styles of government, which are certainly very nice and have a lot of benefits. But those styles of government can lend to political instability. The more people there are, the more people who have political influence, the harder it is to get things done sometimes if you have a lot of people who are vying for different interests, and you can't bring those people together. So one of the nice things about being able to develop a narrative for yourself and your nation, and be able to develop that pitch, is that that's what you can resonate to the people inside of your nation as well, and that's how you develop your culture. Your introduction to other nations should be well representative of your culture, and your culture can be well represented by those ideas that have developed it. So that being the case, you ultimately can use both of those sources as sounding boards for perfecting that culture, ultimately that idea, that summary of who you are and what your nation is about. That is the thing that helps you, like a magnet, to attract the right groups and the right people. Those are going to be the same people who help you, long term, to continue to develop and build your nation. And that's something that can be really intimidating for a lot of people, because once you do take that step out the door, once you do start to post things online, once you do start to make these connections with other nations, you do find a lot of different characters, and sometimes that's the most wonderful thing in the world. Sometimes it can make you feel, having an awful day. It can make you feel like, why did I get started in this? So that's what I would say. I would say it's really, really important for us as leaders to be able to express ourselves and to be able to define what it is that our nation is about. And I'm speaking to this from a perspective of leadership, in the concept that this person who reached out to us from Basonia is the leader of their nation. However, this also goes for just leadership in general. This is a wonderful quality for those inside of a micronation to have, because even if you are the citizen of a micronation, even if you are just a part of a community, if you're not in the government, if you're just trying to help and support it, the more leadership quality you have, the better an asset you are for that nation. And so when people talk to you about the nation that you're a part of, if you can give a really good explanation and an engaging explanation of what it is that you're doing, it makes your nation look good, it makes you look good, and it allows for the continual attachment of that nation to other groups. You're spreading the message, and you're allowing for people to have the opportunity to decide for themselves in in a really practical way how they feel about you. So that goes into recruitment for new citizens, that goes into community efforts, with the local macronations around you, and that goes with diplomacy with other micronations. It's a very, very complex web of things that you have to get into as a leader of a micronation, stepping into it and seeing that big picture. But as well, all of these individual citizens within the nation are working to play different roles that all have their own individual sub branches of leadership that can be attained and are required for continued acceleration and growth. So as you continue to develop as a citizen of a nation or as the leader of one, which hopefully you'd be a citizen of the nation, that being the case as well, I think it's important, that being the case as well, I think it's important to really reflect on that concept for us all, that, we're all trying to push for these communities to work. We're all trying to express our ideas to one another and to find ways to improve and to grow. And so I'm curious as to what all of your thoughts are about this. And, if you had received this email like I did, what would be your response to the leader of Basonia? How would you say um, your thoughts about the people that you've met in the community, about what it is that you believe in and how you address that, because that's I think ultimately the crux of this idea and what they're asking about. It opens up a larger can of worms of what does it mean to be a leader in micronationalism, and how do you find your place there through that. Um, First off, I want to read a few comments, and then I want to talk about my experience and kind of how I pitch Aeternia, what it means to me. One thing that I haven't brought up yet that I'm particularly excited about, we were interviewed, I was interviewed not too long ago by a guy from a university in Mississippi. He wanted to do so for his senior project. He's an undergraduate. For his senior project with film school. So he ended up choosing to do his presentation, his film, on micronations, and in particular Aeternia. So he actually drove down, filmed with us for a little bit, and I got interviewed. And this was a particularly exciting thing for us because it advertises Aeternia, but I didn't know the questions prior to being interviewed. So this was just my responses to this, and I think it's really interesting because it humbles you a lot to be put in that position. It makes you really, really consider after the fact, what you're saying, and even during, as you're thinking of and processing the questions that you're being asked, responding in a way that positively reflects your nation, just as much as reaching out to another leader for another micronation. This is me reaching out to somebody who's reporting on us. This is to reach out to someone who is a part of the larger public, who's, asking us, what are you? What are you doing? And I think that's the thing that micronations want is, this recognition. So when you get put in a position where somebody's ready to recognize you and ready to support you and help you, it makes you really think about exactly what it is that you're going to say to them that you want, what it is that you're going to say to them that is so important about what you're doing, that you do it every day. And so for me, that has been a thinking point. And when I saw this email from Basonia, I absolutely thought I had to make a video on it. Real quick, let me go ahead and read some comments. Also, thank you guys for hanging in here. Right now, our watch time is at like 2,600. So if we get just a couple, like, was it another few not few thousand, another few hundred subscribers, viewers, we could get up there to 4K. We need 4,000 watch time hours a year to be able to get monetized. Yara, I wish you luck with what you're doing, but again, we're anti-military, so don't be doing violence to people. Workers Communist Republic of Qatar said, I'm sorry what was happening. Oh, asking about their stuff. Very cool. Hey, Francisco said reforming your education system. Very cool. I'm glad to hear that. White One says, "Oh, AP, I've seen you on many YouTube shorts on your micronational speech. So you're getting people coming from their channel to yours. Hey, very cool. I appreciate it. Oh, that's interesting. So, ooh, people are making YouTube shorts with our speech in it. That's awesome. Can I see it? Like, can you send me any? Uh, Whiteland says, AP, look back 10 minutes ago. Whiteland got land expansion in Cleveland. Hey, congratulations. Sorry about that. Let me go back. Whiteland says, Whiteland lost territory but gained territory at the same time. We've gained a new protectorate named Calo Federation based in Cleveland, Ohio. Haven't gotten their population just yet, but they have joined Whitewind. Hey, congratulations, Whitewind. I'm excited to see that you guys are doing well. Whitewind says, yeah, next one I see, I'll shoot you an email. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. But Whitewind, that does bring up the question. How have you dealt with joining this community and developing? Was there ever a point where you felt like, what do I do to avoid people in the community? Have there been people that you've had like issues with or problems with? I think for myself, I would say a lot of, and Yara, same question goes to you, Kritaria, same question goes to you. For myself, I feel very confused about it because there have been plenty of circumstances that I've run into people that I just don't agree with morally, and that's why I bring it up. Of course, people who are supremacists, white supremacists, neo-Nazis, stuff like that. People who are trolls, absolutely. People who are like problems in general, like people who just have really, really horrible personalities and stuff. People who are real aggressive or just unfriendly people. And then there are people who I've not gotten along with simply because of ideological views. You know what I mean? In the sense of like the politics of it. Because we've like supported communist micronations and because we've done different things like that, because we support fairly socialist ideologies, and because we are heavy proponents of science and medicine and things like that, advocated for COVID vaccinations and stuff like that, said there's nothing wrong with having fiat currency. There are people who take statements that you make and are heavily critical of you because of that, and will say, I want nothing to do with you. You're bad because this and that and the other because of that, and that's really wild. Oh, I could never support a communist supporter or whatever. Like, it's very silly. It's very silly, and it's something that I am so disappointed to see in a lot of micronations. But I would say that those are pretty much the two situations that I've had externally, dealing with foreign relations specifically. Internally, I think it's a lot more interesting because it's about talking through these ideas with people and having them understand the direction that Aeternia is going. We've had citizens that have been the same way, that they joined Aeternia when Aeternia had just kind of less description about it. When I started out, I did kind of the same thing, saying, I'm going to define things very, very slowly. Some people will write out books and books and books about it. I think that's a problem as well because it takes up a lot of time that you could be building momentum and developing personally. But there are people who do that. I did kind of the opposite, where I, discussed a little bit of our ideology through videos, through, simple, short decrees and things like that here and there. But it wasn't anything that was extensive. It wasn't anything that gave a lot of clarity as to who we are and what we believe. And so the more that we developed and the more that people became citizens, just joining because, there's nothing that seems on the surface against my ideology, they would. And then we come to find out, they're very, very hard into their religious beliefs, or very, very hard into their conservative beliefs, and it doesn't work out. Sometimes it's just something that we're hoping to do, or the way that the way we run our government, for example, our government structure being the monarch and the houses, where people have just gone, hey, I just feel like this isn't for me. I didn't realize fully what this was. I don't feel like it's for me. So we've had difficulty like that before internally as well, where it's just you're not communicating properly what it is that you're trying to do, and that creates some internal friction, that creates some misunderstanding, and that hampers progress. That means those people don't know what they're uh, supporting. So when they go to express that to other people, it's greatly limiting or potentially even harming um, your sphere of influence, um, your advertising ability, because you're ultimately having people go around who may discuss your micronation and may be saying all sorts of different things because they align with their beliefs and their ideology, but not necessarily what your nation is going after and achieving. So as you gain new citizens and as you develop in your leadership more, as you meet with other nations, learn to refine that. And that's going to be something that you do probably forever, as long as you run a nation, or as long as you are supporting politically a nation, is you're going to want to develop your politics, understand what it is that you are advocating for, and learn how to push that in a way that is receptive to other people, in the sense that you're taking in what they're saying, and also that people are receptive to the way that you are communicating, such that it's easily digestible for people. That is a hard thing to do. That's not something that I think people wake up and are excited about doing in micronationalism. I can't wait to, well, no, I'll say that. I was going to say I can't wait to explain to everybody my ideas, but people do that in micronationalism, 100%. People will go, oh, okay, I wrote this huge manifesto out. Here's this 800-page concept of how this utopia is going to work. Here you go. And that's not necessarily something that is, uh, uh, in my opinion, super helpful or beneficial until you put the work in to build up a group of people who can support you. And that's a good way to explain it to them. But um, sometimes advertising can be um, about knowing your message and then explaining it simply. And I by no means am the best advertiser in the world, otherwise we'd have 15 million subscribers. But for those of you who are here, I do appreciate you very much. And I would like to just try to understand, for myself, in growing Eternia, I should be asking the same question. What can I do? Expanding upon their original question, they sent, how do we avoid the bad parts of the community? How do we, you know, uh, avoid drama without cutting relations? And so expanding that, how do you pitch your nation better? How do you get better at creating the right community to support you? That's ultimately, I think, a question that benefits the micronation a lot more, and in general all micronations. And as well, it gives you a tool that you can use that is more adaptable to different circumstances than just how to avoid drama. So really focusing on leadership, focusing on this concept of having a plan and putting it to action, and being able to express that plan to other people, is what is going to get you the most success, I think, pretty much 10 out of 10 times. There's not much you can do wrong by continuing to refine your messaging and your ideas in general. When you talk to someone and you test those ideas out and you say, hey, this is what we're about, understand that those people may have different views and they may discuss those views with you. And I think it's important to listen so that you know exactly what it is that people are looking for, and as well what it is that maybe makes you different from that person. So if somebody declines you and they have their reason why and they share that with you, it would be nice to know, because maybe you realize, oh, I definitely don't want that person a part of my thing because they're ideologically opposed to us. And so you may, through their argument, find better ways to counter that argument and potentially recruit somebody who may have been on the fence before, or to find good ways to, have solid and, defend yourself in a debate if the other side decides to, uh, criticize you or to work against your interests. So again, very very versatile tool, trying to develop that messaging. But let's see what people are saying. Okay. So White One said they have had plenty of issues in the micronational community, but saying those are just trolls, and I agree. Trolls generally can be ignored. Um, New England, good to see you. Thank you for supporting us, and please give us a like. Francisco said, only micronation we have directly attacked was the United European Caliphate micronational ICE. United European Caliphate, who they're calling, Francisco's calling, micronational ISIS. Weird. I don't know. Wayman says, yes, ideological views as well. We dislike socialist ideologies in which that the said socialist micronations spam our email because we don't like their way of thinking. Makes sense. Kutaria says, we are now aiming for freedoms for deeply oppressed groups. We have passed a law that allows all types of groups to vote on any type of issue. Hey, very cool. That's awesome. So, yeah, so White One, that's definitely an understandable thing. So, they're saying that like we don't support this and that, and they don't support socialist ideologies, and so they're saying that socialists hit them up and bother them. Yeah, and that's kind of a thing that you decide on yourself. You know what I mean? At that point, if somebody reaches out to you and says, "I don't like you because of this," you can block that person, which is easy enough. You can just not respond to their stuff, and you know if it's spam email, you can put their thing in spam, and they can keep sending it all they want, but it'll just go to spam. And then finally, you could like debate those people, but then you know that'll make it continue, and you don't necessarily want to be an instigator of trouble for them or you know added issues. So if you don't like somebody and you don't feel like it's a positive relationship, I think the best thing to do is just to ignore them as much as possible. Um, but yeah, Critaria says, we are now aiming for freedoms for deeply oppressed groups. We have passed a law that allows all types of groups to vote on any type of issue. Hey, very cool. Congratulations. At some point, I know it's not the topic for today, but I'd be curious to learn more about that. Francisco says, also, we made a law which bans communist symbols. Interesting. So it's lowering the freedom of speech in Yara. Interesting. Francisco says, I just got the news that insurgents have been kicked out from Yaran territory. Finally. Interesting. Whitewind says, I'm surprised Whitewind has no insurgents and no wars in its lifetime. I don't think that's very surprising. That's nothing against you, Whitewind. I have it. You know what I mean? Like it's not Eternia hasn't. It's something that I think should be established as a norm. You don't need that. That's not something that's beneficial. You know, war is stupid, and it's for the people who have been through it horribly traumatic. So you don't want to, you know, be brandishing ideas of war in people's mind if you're legitimately trying to build and develop a community of people. Republic of Simulia says, hello. Hey, what's going on, Simulia? Good to see you, and thanks for being here. If you could give us a like, I would appreciate it, because it throws us up to 6 likes, and it would pull more people like you into the conversation. What we've been doing is talking about Bredonia, who sent us an email discussing and asking us to discuss why it is that you know, how it is that they can avoid drama in the community, and how it is that they can avoid the worrisome or parts of the community they don't like. The concerning parts of the community, I think, is how they phrased it. So that's something that I think is a really important topic, and we've been covering for the last 30 minutes or so. But I just kind of wanted to reiterate that for Eternia, it's particularly interesting because those two ways, in the sense of ideological differences, have been how we've faced a lot of our backlash, or a lot of our you know, disagreements or dislikes from the community. However, I think what's so interesting about Eternia is that we have a lot of cultural symbols that bake easily into our pitch, and so that's something that's really nice. You know, we can say, hey, if you haven't seen our flag, go check out our website, Eternian Empire, eternianempire.wixsite.com /Imperial Market. But if you Google the Empire of Aeternia, it'll come up. If you look at our flag, you can see the symbol inside of our flag is actually called the arrow of progress. So, if I was pitching Eternia to somebody and say, what is Eternia? I would say, it's a micronation. It's a group which believes themselves to be an independent nation and identify as one cultural group, identify as a group which seeks its own independent governance and its own independent development, and does so on land currently occupied by the United States. I would say the um, uh, the people in Eternia support and follow the idea of the arrow of progress, which can be seen on our flag. It's our primary symbol, and it's something that motivates us. And then somebody may ask, okay, so what's the arrow of progress? The arrow of progress is based on the story of the Odyssey, where Odysseus comes home and finds that his court has been overtaken by suitors trying to claim his throne. So he's given a task to be able to string a bow and shoot it through 100 axe heads, shoot an arrow through 100 axe heads, and whichever suitor can do that manages to get his throne. And so each of the suitors go one by one and try to string his bow and can't even manage to string the bow itself. Whereas Odysseus shows up in beggar's clothes, disguised, shows up, strings the bow, shoots it through all 100 axe heads, and reclaims his throne from the suitors. And so that idea is that for what most people consider incredibly difficult or near impossible for societal development, for human evolution and technological evolution, Eternia believes that we are the people to make that happen. We believe that if you have the right group of people, that incredible progress can be made. And if you structure your society properly, that there's almost nothing you cannot do, no challenge you cannot overcome. And so that arrow of progress is something that lives inside us. That's something that, is a part of our everyday. When I am developing things for Eternia, we say Eternia forever. That is baked into who we are as this concept of our name, which is a combination of the words eternal and ethereal, where Eternia is something that is both in our spirits and our hearts, ethereal, being light or airy like a spirit, and as well everlasting, coming from the word eternal. This is something that lives forever in us. This is, a culture, a concept, a people that we are a part of, that, no matter where you are in the world, whether you're on Eternian soil or not, you are and can be an Eternian. And you can find other Eternians and know from that shared culture, from that shared experience and belief, that they are like you, that they are a part of your community, a part of your culture, a part of your heritage. And that is something that binds us, that can, elevate and support a group of people into incredible progress and incredible, ways of living. So that and quality of life. So that being the case, pitching like that, having things that are so deeply understood by you and are so part of your everyday life that you can talk about them in a way that doesn't necessarily need a full organized sectioned out pitch. It's something that you can toss in ideas in conversation. You can have a full well-organized pitch, but you also have these primary talking points that you can shuffle around and mix around as you need to, so that depending on the nature of a conversation you're having, you don't come off unnatural when you're trying to pitch it. You can go ahead and explain these things, show people that the ideas that you have are logical, that they work backwards, forwards, frontwards, backwards, inside out, that they are fundamental to who you are, and that there is a necessary and very, very overwhelming reason as to why you are doing what you're doing. And that reason is found through that culture. That reason is found in that pitch. That's a hard thing to dispute with someone. That is a hard thing to mock or to look away from. When somebody is serious about something and they really, really mean it in their heart, it is hard to just dismiss that person. And so that being the case, I really, really think that for Bredonia's question, as well as for people in general who are developing micronations, who are trying to make something of their own, it is fundamentally about understanding what it is you want and how to communicate that. And that's, solid leadership skills. Um, Simulia says Simulia cross symbol represents the Scottish Celtic heritage, and the lion is the lion or gal or life in Scottish Gaelic. It represents life and love. Very cool. Hey, first off, 7 viewers, 7 likes. Thank you guys for the likes, and thank you guys for joining us right now. You're helping get our watch time hours up. Right now we're at like 2,600. If we could get to 3,000, we'd be 3/4 of the way to monetization. But Michael Ryan says, hello, AP. Hey, Michael Ryan, how you doing? Hope you're doing well. Right now I'm hanging out, waiting for Tiffany, and I'm talking to you guys about the idea of um, finding the right place for you in the community and how you can use leadership skills to avoid drama, to put yourself in the right position, the position that you want to be in the community, and to find people like-minded. It's really difficult to do that a lot of the time. And we find ourselves, I think, whether you're the leader of a nation, like the leader of Bredonia reached out to us through email for this question, or whether you are somebody who is just a part of a micronation or just an outside observer looking into micronations, trying to understand them, maybe talking to other micronations. We're all having this big dialogue. We're all at this big party together, and we need to be able to effectively communicate and express what it is that our wants and needs are, how it is that we're going to go about achieving those. Not everybody has to agree, not everybody has to like each other, but we do all have to coexist. And so what is fundamentally necessary is that we find those people that are going to support us. We find that network who's going to help us grow. And to everyone else, we exist. We allow people to develop and to move on and to do their own things. We don't go out of our way to attack people or harm people, and we make sure that they don't do the same to us. We avoid people who are causing problems. We try to develop on our own because we know that the time that we're wasting on those people is time that we're taking away, that they're depriving us of using to help our citizens, to help develop our causes. And so at the end of the day, they're simply obstacles in your way. I don't mean to be silly to rhyme, but it's something that's necessary for all leaders, whether you're a part of a micronation or not, to understand that the people who are going to hate on you, the people who don't like what you're doing or are trying to actively stop what you're doing, so long as you are not hurting other people, so long as you have people who support you and you know what you're doing is helpful and beneficial, then you need to be able to overlook those people and say, you know what, if they're just going to be a distraction, if they're just going to cause problems, we don't need them. We can move on and we can find better things. And you will find those people who completely support you and who are wonderful and who want to present new ideas and want to contribute and put in their fair share. Those are going to be the people who help you elevate. So every minute that you're wasting on people who are, so combative with you and who are so determined to get you to agree to their thing or to, remove your ideology or change who you are, those are probably people who just aren't worth your time. Those are, like I said, the people who are not only taking time away from you developing for your citizens, but also time that you could be finding those wonderful trade partners, those people who are going to be incredibly supportive, those governments that are going to, recommend your nation to people and bring it up and talk about, different situations that you've been through together. They are going to be the ones who help to prop you up. And that is so incredibly important and so incredibly enriching. I think in the micronational community, I don't know that there are many better feelings than finding people who want to become citizens or want to, support your nation as another country. It just it sometimes can be rare, but once it starts, and once it starts building, and you build, a connection here and a connection there and a connection there, all of those people start finding their own, and they start sending them to you, and that starts helping to grow. And eventually it feels like you're just in this section of the community that's nice and wonderful 99% of the time, where you started out in a place where it felt horrible 99% of the time. And it's just about developing that leadership skill. It's just about, working to push through the mess and get to the people who are really the treasure there. You know, it's tough, but you've got this. And Bredonia, I hope you support us. I hope you join our Discord and find that that is a nice part of the community. We are here to help you expand your network and to find those people who are going to help you achieve your goals. We would like to be some of those people, but that being the case, I hope you are doing well. I know that is very, very rough. And when you feel like you're in a situation where you don't have help and you don't have support, it constantly feels like the end of the world. It constantly feels like there's got to be something I can do. If I just figure this part out and I just do a little bit over here, surely things have to work out. But they don't always. As well, my device is overheating, and it looks like people are heading out of the building. So I am a little bit concerned. Let me see if I unplug it, if that'll help. Just in case the stream dies, I appreciate you guys, and I hope you're doing well. I'm not ending it. I'm trying not to end it, but just in case it does die, I'm getting ready for that. But yeah, so that's kind of how I feel. I think it's a really tough situation to be in the middle of it, but the more that you learn those techniques to wiggle out of it, the more that you start making traction for yourself, the more you will be able to succeed, the more you'll be able to find other people who want to help you. Zardam Cultarcia says, this is definitely a thing I need to watch. There's so much drama in our sector, so much of it is unnecessary. People who are in here, I appreciate you guys who have continued to hang out. If you know any of the people who were in here earlier, definitely hit us back. We're back. We're back. Sorry about that. My phone was overheating and it tried to make me jump off. Yep. Dang. Okay. But for everybody here, I appreciate you being here. Hey, Union of Allied Soviet Republics, I appreciate you being here. Again, thanks for liking, everybody. It wasn't that the phone died. I had the phone plugged in and charging, and my stream running, and so it was just like, it's overheating, it's too much, and it shut down all of our stuff. So again, sorry about that, guys. I appreciate you being here, though. I appreciate everybody who did coming back. The big topic that we're talking about, though, it's tough to be in a situation where you feel like the community's not on your side. Again, if you want to learn more about diplomacy, we have other videos that are talking about that, so I definitely recommend checking out just our How to Micronation series. We have a playlist that talks all about that. Same thing with our micronational economics that delves a little bit into it, but primarily is dealing with currencies and trading and stuff like that. I think that's the big concept, though, that we need to get to as we continue to develop. We have to be able to figure out exactly what it is that we're doing, and that has different stages to it. Some of that is just going to be your own, written out thoughts, your own concepts. Then that's, tested concepts, things that you've talked to other people about, the things that you're promoting that, you declare are a part of your nation. And then there are even higher concepts to that, you know what I mean? Your internal strategy versus your external strategy as far as how you're dealing with your citizens and, people who are coming to you for economic or cultural development as a part of your country versus those outside of it who may be a part of other micronations or other macronations who may interact with you economically or, culturally that aren't, seeking to be a part of your nation. So there are details dealing with that stuff. There are details getting even into, more nitty-gritty specifics with, okay, what is our individual policy when it comes to specific nations? You know what I mean? If you have a nation that is really a concern for you, but they are connected to one of your allies. And so you need to keep ties with your ally, but you need to figure out, to kind of watch this group or whatever. There are very complex situations that can develop in international diplomacy. And so, depending on your different reasons and your different needs, you may come up with different approaches that your government takes for dealing with each individual nation that it interacts with, especially those that it interacts with very frequently, for better or worse. And so, over time, you'll get better with that. Don't worry, it's completely fine. As you learn more about micronationalism, as you continue to push into bigger and better things, you're going to feel that momentum build. You're going to see this situation where there becomes a break point. Every time I have tried to push something new in Eternia, it'll get a little bit of momentum and then it'll roll back, right? And it'll lose that momentum and you won't see as much support for it. And then you push out something again, and then it gets a little more momentum, and then it kind of fades back, and it happens over and over again. But eventually, you realize the more you keep pushing something out, the more you keep tweaking it and working with it and trying to figure out the problems that it has, and continue to figure out how you can support it, you start to see better and better results. The more consistent you are, of course, helps a lot. In some regards, I'm have difficulty with that myself, but the more consistent you are, and as well, the more you can really, really focus in on those differences. The you know the ideas that you're talking about, the culture that you're bringing to the table. The more that you can solidify those things, the better you're going to be at defining those different places that need that development. But that being the case, I think this is one of the more interesting questions that we've ever gotten on the channel, as far as something that I just immediately thought that I needed to make a video about. Of course, I think Whitewind and some other people have sent us stuff in the past as well. And I tend to just send out email responses to those, but this one in particular felt like, nope, we got to make a video about it. And I want to do that more. So anybody who has any interest in having us make a video about a question that they have, please let me know, especially so that you can watch it back and we can have this conversation, and maybe even a part 2 or part 3 if Bisonia emails back and says, hey, I got that, but what about this? This is weird. I don't fully understand this part, or you said this in the video, but I disagree with it for these reasons. We could do a follow-up video and discuss that, or we could even bring Bisonia on and have them talk about why it is that they feel the way that they do. And so if you guys have similar ideas or similar questions, please go ahead and email us. Reach out at eternianempire@gmail.com, because I want to discuss those issues that are pertinent to you guys. The stardom of, oh goodness, excuse me. Let me go back a few things. The stardom of Sarsia, the Stardom of Sarsia says that it helped a lot, that the video is something that they wanted to watch, and so that's something that's really, really important to us. Being able to take those things that are you're going to take with you, those resources that are going to help you in moving forward with them. Also, thank you guys for liking and supporting us. Somebody says, can you turn your mic volume up at all? I do not have a mic plugged in. Let me see what I could do about that. Oh goodness, I don't have Bluetooth headphones either. I guess I'll just speak up a little bit. How does this sound? All right. So, first off, congratulations, Whitewind. Kotaria said, okay, he's back. I am back. UASR says, our community on Instagram is extremely commonly aggressive and unprofessional. Dang, I'm sorry to hear about that. I don't know a ton about the community on Instagram. I have seen the community on Reddit, which I don't know, sometimes is also kind of rude. I have seen the community. I haven't seen Facebook yet. I know there is a Facebook, but I don't know how well it works. I've seen Discord. I've seen Twitter. Twitter is interesting. A lot of time it's not too aggressive, but it can be. There's a lot I'm curious as to how Instagram is. We get DMs, but I don't see a ton of like crazy stuff on the Instagram. But I guess I'm not looking for it either. Kritaria says, "Yeah, true. Instagram can be like nuclear wasteland at times." Oh goodness. Wait. So you guys got to bring that up to me. If somebody can email me like examples of crazy micronational stuff happening on Instagram, we will discuss it. Because if like there's a consensus that the Instagram community of micronationalists is trash, we'll get on them. We'll talk to them about it. We'll put the whoop down on them. We'll let them know. I wanna react to some of these. I want to see what kind of nuclear wasteland this place is. Oh goodness. Kritaria is saying there's nothing left. There's no hope. If you if you step within the Instagram micronational community, you forever will be a poisoned micronation that cannot be interacted with again for fear of reactive radiation, radiation exposure. Horrible. Francisco says that's why we don't use any social media. Fair. The English Times says, can you turn up your mic volume at all? Yeah, that's what I was trying to do. My apologies. Also, English Times, can you hit us up with a story? I would love for you to do a story on Eternia. I know y'all are a thing that y'all are. Could we do a partnership thing or something? Like, I would shout y'all out. Hey, hit us up. Hit us up. Make a story about us. Let them know. Let them know out here. Whitewind says we only use email to communicate and or YouTube. Gotcha. Okay, but says the Instagram community. Whitewind says the Instagram community for them wasn't too bad. I'm curious about that one. UASR says using email limits allied capabilities, in my opinion. Agreed. And then goes, although we do use YouTube. Yeah, see, so you got some avenues. English Times says that sounds a little better. I'm glad to hear. Again, sorry about not having like a mic. I would love to get one of the little lav mics that I could have like real close, or even one of the like tiny like Instagram interviewer mics that's like that big that you can just hold up that plugs up to your phone. I'll have to get one. Lightwind says, what do you mean UASR? Francisco says we're using Discord, YouTube, email, and Reddit. Francisco said Reddit is a hell. Agreed. Reddit can be gross sometimes. People insulting each other, 100%. USR says you won't meet any new people. Hey, hold up. Alright guys, it seems my time has come. I hope you guys are doing well. Yep, we gotta go. Hope you guys are doing well, and I will see you next time. Eternia forever. Peace, everybody. Email me, hit me up, eternianempire@gmail.com.